69,000 Bitcoin, $3.6 billion at the time, and roughly $6 billion in today's market. Gone. And so were the two brothers behind it. Raees and Ameer Cajee, aged 22 and 25, promised investors 10% daily returns through Africrypt until they blamed a hack and vanished. But what investigators uncovered next was even more shocking. If reports are to be believed, their escape plan was as bold as the heist itself. Picture this: Lamborghinis paid for in cash, luxury penthouses registered under shell companies, and private jets hopping between countries with no extradition treaties. Every purchase, every transaction could have been a step toward vanishing forever. But here's the twist. Their spending wasn't just about luxury. It was a smokescreen. Offshore accounts to launder Bitcoin, a Pacific Island passport to bypass borders, and properties bought only to sell in secret. Yet, even with billions, one question remains. Can you truly disappear without leaving a trail? Or did their greed plant clues that will eventually destroy them? The Cajee brothers went from living ordinary lives in South Africa to moving like international billionaires almost overnight. Within months of launching Africrypt, they had the amount of money that could afford driving luxury sports cars, buy high-end properties, and jetting between countries. With that much power, they could have purchased cars like a Lamborghini Huracan, valued at approximately $200,000, and a Ferrari 488 GTB, worth around $250,000. Just before disappearing, they most likely sold a Ferrari in a hurry, likely converting it back to cash. But behind this facade of opulence lay a strategic plan to dismantle any trace of wrongdoing. By now, they could have acquired multiple properties around the globe and traveled extensively, crossing borders with ease. To further cover their tracks, they set up offshore accounts to move money undetected. One of their most calculated moves was obtaining Vanuatu citizenship. The small Pacific island nation offers passports through investment of at least $130,000, allowing visa-free travel to over 130 countries. This gave them the perfect escape route. Once they had the passports, they could vanish without leaving an obvious trail. They also funneled money through offshore entities, making it harder for authorities to track the stolen Bitcoin. Employees at Africrypt later reported that the brothers had become increasingly secretive in the months before their disappearance. They stopped showing up at the office regularly, and when they did, they were always in a rush. Some noticed their new luxury watches and designer clothes, but no one questioned it too deeply. After all, if the platform was making so much money, why wouldn't the founders enjoy the rewards? The truth was, none of their wealth came from legitimate trading. The 10% daily returns Africrypt promised were mathematically impossible. The brothers weren't financial geniuses. They were running a classic Ponzi scheme. When the scheme began to collapse, they staged a fake hack, emptied the wallets, and disappeared, leaving behind a trail of deception that would soon unravel. The Africrypt platform promised investors 10% daily returns, an impossible claim. For context, even the most successful hedge funds average about 20% per year. The math didn't add up, but the allure of quick riches drew people in anyway. Red flags abounded right from the start, as their website touted Raees Cajee as a prodigy who founded the business in 2013, when he was just 13 years old. In reality, neither Raees nor his brother Ameer had any proven track record in trading. The operation lacked basic safeguards: no third-party audits, no external custodians for funds, and no financial licensing. Investors had no way to verify where their money was going, and had to rely solely on the brothers' word. Early investors received payouts, but these weren't from trading profits. Instead, the brothers used new deposits to pay existing clients, a classic Ponzi scheme. They pooled all investor funds into shared wallets, giving themselves complete control to move money freely. including into their personal accounts. The promotional materials were equally dubious, featuring generic animations, stock footage, and a robotic voice making vague claims about AI trading. There was no evidence of real trading activity, just buzzwords masking an empty operation. To bolster credibility, the brothers targeted wealthy South Africans, including celebrities, and announced ambitious plans like launching Africoin and creating Africa's first crypto bank. These grandiose promises, though baseless, created urgency and drew in more victims. Behind the scenes, the entire operation was a house of cards. Monthly statements showed steady growth, even during market crashes, but employees later revealed the trading dashboard was purely for show. The lack of oversight made it easy for the brothers to operate unchecked. Unlike regulated financial products, Africrypt wasn't subject to external reviews. They stored all funds in hot wallets under their control, bypassing escrow services or cold storage. This gave them instant access to the Bitcoin whenever they decided to pull the plug. By early 2021, the scheme was collapsing. Instead of letting it unravel, the brothers staged a fake hack, claiming their systems had been breached. They urged investors not to contact authorities, buying time to disappear with the money. Blockchain analysis later revealed they had started moving funds days before the supposed hack, setting the stage for one of the most elaborate crypto heists in history. The email hit investors' inboxes in April 2021 with disastrous news. Africrypt COO Ameer Cajee claimed hackers had breached their systems, stealing all client funds. The message contained a suspicious demand. Investors were told not to involve authorities, as this would delay the recovery process. For investors, the shock was immediate. Years of savings vanished in an instant, replaced by confusion and betrayal. Employees later revealed they'd lost access to back-end systems a full week before the supposed hack. Their actions in the days leading to the hack were as calculated as the email that stunned investors. At Africrypt's Durban office, computers sat abandoned. Cleaning crews found empty desks where the Cajee brothers and their team once worked. The company website vanished overnight, replaced by error messages. Phone lines went dead. Blockchain analysis later exposed the truth. Massive Bitcoin withdrawals began days before the hack announcement. The brothers weren't victims of cyber criminals. They orchestrated the theft themselves. The movement of funds followed a deliberate pattern. Initial transfers were small, test runs to avoid detection. Then the amounts grew. Hundreds, then thousands of Bitcoin moving at a time. Rather than sending funds directly to exchanges, they routed them through mixers, services that scrambled the transaction trail by pooling thousands of users' coins together. Each pass through a mixer made the stolen Bitcoin harder to track, like dropping a single grain of sand onto a beach. 69,000 Bitcoin, but by then the money was already in motion. Some went to private wallets, some converted to privacy-focused Monero, some split into countless fragments across different blockchains. The Cajee brothers didn't just take the money. They ensured its disappearance, leaving no single transaction to reveal the full picture. Shortly after sending the hack notice, Raees and Ameer left South Africa using their Vanuatu passports. These documents, obtained through citizenship by investment, gave them visa-free access to over 130 countries. They left behind a Lamborghini they couldn't sell in time, but took everything else: funds, plans, and any evidence that might prove their guilt. But how exactly did they manage to hide billions of dollars in Bitcoin without leaving a trace? Cryptocurrency mixers were their first tool, services that pool funds from thousands of users and redistribute them randomly, breaking the blockchain's paper trail. This process makes it nearly impossible to trace stolen funds back to their origin. Private investigator Sean Pierce described the funds as passing through various dark web tumblers and mixers, creating what he called severe fragmentation of the money trail. But the brothers didn't stop there. They converted large portions of Bitcoin into Monero, a cryptocurrency designed for complete anonymity. Unlike Bitcoin, where transactions are publicly visible, Monero obscures the sender, receiver, and amount, making it a favorite for illicit activities. They also swapped stolen coins for stable coins, crypto